Hello, hello, everybody. This here is Ian McDonald with Sick Drummer Magazine. Honored and humbled and happy to be bringing you another live interview here tonight on YouTube and Twitch with Mr. Pierce Williams. Welcome, Pierce. How are you, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I haven't seen you since the tour with Vitriol.
Defeated Sanity, yep.
Defeated Sanity. Yeah, you were Chasen and Lille and Matt Kilner was also on that tour.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a while, man.
It's been a while. That was a hell of a show.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was a really fun night. I remember the ice storm was pretty bad though.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right for this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So cool. Thanks for joining us. What I like to start off with usually on these interviews is just I took a little page out of the Cali Death podcast book because I like how they do their intros where, just give us some background, like, growing up, early influence in your household, music wise, maybe from parents or friends or relatives, like go back to like where it started, your earliest memories of what you were listening to that, piqued your interest in music at all to begin with, man.
Well, I remember growing up, my dad played piano, like a lot. So a lot of my music, like classical music taste, kind of comes from him. I remember, he had a Corvette too, and he would be playing like Beach Boys and stuff like that. And I don't know, as a kid, like, cruising around in like a car like that and just listening to like that old 50s, like doo-wop type stuff, like kind of started my interest, you know what I mean? And then it wasn't until I watched, I think the Led Zeppelin live concert. It was like a video I had rented. And then I saw the 8-minute long, like Moby Dick drum solo. And after that, I was just like, that's what I want to do,
Yeah, that would have been a good one. How old were you when that was all happening?
Probably like 8 or 9. So like my family is really musical. Like my mom was a drum major in high school. My grandmother played keyboards for her church. My uncle's a drummer. Quite a bit of like people in my family play music, so I don't think it's like too far off that I would naturally get into it,
Right.
Then when I was like, I don't know, 10 to 12 is like when I like heard like psych rock, like Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. And like I really remember being drawn to Mitch Mitchell's drumming. And like stuff like funk, like James Brown and stuff like that. I was just really drawn to like rhythm sections of all that sort of music,
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah, it took a long time for me to get into metal, but when I did, that's when everything else is just like history,
And as far as Mitch Mitchell or any other, you mentioned Zeppelin and stuff. Is there any other drummers back from that era that kind of stuck with you, got under your skin?
I mean, a lot of the, like, I remember when I was a kid, I remember watching all of the jazz drummers, Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, Dave Weckl, Steve Gadd, like guys like those, and just like really loving what they do and their approach behind the kit, I've always, had big admiration for guys like those. Clyde Stubblefield from James Brown, Dennis Chambers, like people like that. Yeah, I just loved what they did behind the kit. You can tell those drummers apart.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm sure Cobham was on that list as well.
Who? Sorry, say that again?
Billy Cobham.
Oh, yeah. Billy Cobham, like, dude, yeah, the list is like pretty endless, you know what I mean?
Right on. So what, after that growing up, when did you start, playing, and when did you start like playing with other people in bands or before bands or whatever, first kit type of age, or guitar if that came first? I don't know.
I want to say it was like, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 is when I got my first like drum pad with sticks and like a book. Took a long time for me to convince my parents that I like actually wanted to be a drummer. So I think I started off with that, and it was like the syncopation book. So I just at the time I memorized, what I could and just did it every day. Just sort of, yeah, out of the pure joy of doing it. I don't know. It didn't really matter to me that I didn't have a drum kit at the time because all I wanted to do was just hit a drum,
Yeah.
I also remember having I had some live Metallica concert videos, and at the time I didn't even have a drum kit, but I was in my room playing air drums to some early Metallica concerts and learning how to sort of pick up on the rhythms with the feet and the hands, even without having a get to practice on.
Oh yeah, like you'd sit on your bed and you'd have the pad and in front of you on the floor, like you're pretending you had kick drums.
Yeah.
I think
everybody's been there,
We've been there. It's so fun to hear about, though. I actually was thinking the other night, and I made a post on social media that I just had this memory where, when I was first into bands heavily, 18, 19, 20, I would just get so into it, and there were moments either at practice or live where I would just be so into the music with the guys I was playing with at the time that I would just literally stand up and start just punching the cymbals because there was that much, energy running through me at the time, not to try to look cool. It wasn't a gimmick thing. I just didn't know what to do with the energy. So I would just punch cymbals and then I'd sit back down and yes, this is the shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's nothing quite like getting that first drum kit and just going bananas on it, for the first time.
Do you remember what your first kit was?
Oh man, I want to say it's it definitely wasn't a name brand. It was something called Argent or something like that.
Okay.
Pretty standard kit, snare, 2 racks, 1 floor tom, and I think I had just a ride cymbal, a crash, and hi-hats. And then from there I took some drum lessons and then just started building up my kit from there.
Argent, yeah. Argent is I see it.
I don't know how much how much it was or what the value of those drums are now, but I think I had those drums till I was 18, dude.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't. Until I got a job and was able to afford an actual drum kit that could hold up.
Yeah. I remember I got my first kit for Christmas when I was 10 years old. It was a Pearl Maxwin piano black, and because of all the bedroom, air drumming and books and saw blades and posts that I had made little percussion little things out of just to hit. When I got my first drum set, I set it all up and I could just sit it and I could play beats. You know what I mean? Just all the prerequisite goofing around that I did in my room.
Yeah, I'm the same way, dude. I grew up taking public transportation, so I took the bus everywhere. That's kind of how I learned how to blast beat a lot of the times, because I'd have to go from my practice space, or if I'm just going over to a friend's house or whatever, I was constantly on the bus. So I don't know, I was just always playing drums on my knees. And at that point I was listening to early 90s death metal and just figuring out what a blast beat was, but just using my body instead of an actual drum kit,
Sure. Okay, so speaking of that, in that era, late 80s, early to mid 90s, who were some of the bands or players that got you into the death metal drumming style?
Oh man, that is a good question. There's a lot of them.
I see your shirt, and I know for me, I'll just right off the bat, Sepultura Arise was the one. But
for me, that was Beneath the Remains.
The famous feud.
Yeah, I fucking love that album.
I do too.
Igor for sure was a heavy influence for me. Paul from Cannibal Corpse, Pete, Morbid Angel, Sean Reinert, Richard Christie, like a lot of the death drummers, Dave Lombardo, like it's the usual, Derek Roddy, like all the usual suspects,
The usual suspects.
Great. Culross, Tim Young, like all the just like all those guys, and it's just there's so many good death metal drummers out there. It's really hard to be like, I mean, at that point in my life when I was 13, 14, just hearing this sort of music, like those guys were John Longstreth, just like top of the top for me.
Nice. Did you ever take any lessons or?
Oh yeah, not from any of those guys, but I did take drum lessons for a few years. Mainly it was like Latin and funk oriented. I learned all metal just from like playing along to my favorite songs, you know what I mean? But I took lessons, I think, give or take like 3 consecutive years. So that I learned a lot. None of it was on the heavier side of music, though. It was all Latin and funk and like some jazz. I'm not by any means a jazz player, but that's kind of something I was thinking about taking lessons for, now.
Can you take lessons for jazz?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, yeah. Good,
I'm messing around.
Good point. And I think I'd say about 3 consecutive years, like of actual lessons, once a week. My teacher, I had 2 teachers. I think both of their names were Ben, and I think one of them, he would come to my house and teach me from my kit. And I think that was the first year I started drums. And then I think he moved away or something. And then I got another drum teacher in Portland was also named Ben. And I would go over to his studio in Southeast Portland. And he was the one who taught me kind of just all the technical type of shit.
Right on. I took lessons for a little while from a guy named Steve Egan, who was in a band called No Camouflage. And I also got to go to the Eastman School of Music here in Rochester. And one time I got a lesson from Dave Mancini Jr. And one time I got a lesson from Steve Gadd, who you mentioned earlier. Which was pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was just a half an hour, but just wow. You know what I mean? And then.
Yeah, he's one of my biggest like influences as a drummer for sure.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's a very some of his quotes too I love. You know what I mean? Like one of them would be, "If you can play the cymbals, you can play the drums," and 2 would be, "It's not how fast you can hit the next note; it's how fast you can relax after the one you just hit." And that's stuck with me over all these years, and it's totally true.
Yeah, he's got a good philosophy behind the kit.
He absolutely does. I'm just reading this comment here. I'm sorry to go off script, and it's weird because I've only done a couple of these interviews with just me and one other person. Normally it's 2 or 3 or 4. So it's a little strange, but it's cool. I posted this up on the screen a second ago, but I didn't know that you had done that. I think I did.
Oh, Morcara.
You know what? Morcara, yeah. I'm confusing it with Morbicon, sorry, because I was putting together. Anyway, we'll talk about Morbicon and your tours coming up later and Dave Whitty, but Morcara, I do remember.
Yeah, I really like that project a lot. Well, that's cool. That's really cool. Someone knows about that band. It's not really a big name in the scene, so that's really cool.
Hey, Mike Machine. That's Mike Malaise. If you don't know him, he's
right on.
Canadian drummer, one of the WFD champs. Just started streaming on Twitch himself. He's a teacher and all that kind of stuff. Great dude, great drummer. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man.
So while we're on the topic of early influence, because how long have you been playing guitar for? I know you're a crazy guitarist as well as drummer. You probably play fucking everything, but When did you start guitar?
Guitar around like 15 or 16.
Okay.
That was mainly because I couldn't play fucking drums past like 7 or 8 o'clock or whatever. So my brother had a guitar, and at the point, I guess he sort of played around with it, but I mean, it was like most of the time it was just there, so I started picking it up, and I think my cousin taught me how to learn. He taught me how to read tabs, like guitar tabs, and like I remember him showing me like some Iron Maiden shit, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I could probably figure it out, and then I think I remember how I learned most of the guitar stuff that I like play and write was probably just like learning a lot of death songs and like Morbid Angel and like a lot of aggressive sort of music. With guitar, I never took a lesson, and I never really picked up like oh, this is an A chord, a C chord. Like,
right.
I just learned what I liked, and because of that, unfortunately, the only thing I can play on guitar is death metal. Who was that?
That was sorry. It's a clip I have that I throw in a lot. It's Jason Bittner at a NAMM show a few years back where we were all standing behind Lombardo and he was playing Angel of Death. And he turned the camera around on himself, and here it is. It makes for a good little filler piece in here sometimes. It's funny. So, yeah, the guitar, like you said, just taught yourself and whatnot. And, same with me. I don't play much guitar, but I did, I fiddle and I know some chords and whatnot. But you reminded me when you said Iron Maiden of the song Flash of the Blade where they had like the 5th and 12th taps. You know what I mean? That's fun.
Yeah, for me, it was the Trooper. Everybody, I feel like that was at almost every metal guitar player's like go-to, or like Eddie Van Halen or something like that. I never like learned how to shred. I'm just more of a rhythm player for guitar, and that's fine with me because I'm really not trying to be a guitar player in a band anymore.
Sure.
I just like writing music, and yeah, having a guitar just comes with the love of actually writing and creating music,
Well, most people probably know you from Skeletal Remains, other bands like Enigmatum, Lividus, Azoth, Blood Freak. Those are all drum projects, but you also have a couple guitar projects like Lord Gore and Torture Rack. Are you still involved with them, or is that all over with? Or
yeah, no, I decided about a year ago that I didn't really want to continue doing guitar for any band. I never really planned on doing guitar duties for any bands. The way Torture Rack started was I broke my foot skating. So I was out of commission on drums for about 3 to 5 months, and during that point, I think I was either 19 or 20, and I was living in a punk skater metal house, and went downstairs and started fucking around on the guitar, and then my roommates Jason and Seth at the time came down, and we had a whole jam room and all that, and yeah, they came down, and like we started writing initially like very early stages of Torture Rack songs, which at the time we just thought we were fucking around, and then yeah, it just kind of picked up momentum and people really liked the music. And it's weird because when I was in Torture Rack, that's what a lot of people like knew me for, was my guitar playing. But that was like, again, like kind of a shock for me because I've never really considered myself a guitarist. You know what I mean? I just like to play guitar and write music.
Sure.
So yeah, like I think the biggest thing I've done in my like early adult life was play like Maryland Death Fest, and I was on guitar instead of drums. So that was a trip for me because I'm used to being behind everybody. So like, my first time like actually playing a big festival is like me just in front. And I think there's a video you can kind of see my knees like twitching out a little bit because I'm just that fucking nervous, you know?
Well, that was the first. Was it the first time on a big stage like that, or
Yeah, that was the
big
first
venue,
time.
big festival, I should say?
Yeah, that was the first time I did like anything like of that magnitude, and like, yeah, it was like pretty nerve wracking, you know, because like at the time I was just like, oh, I like these riffs, you know, this is it. Wasn't really like, oh shit, we're playing in front of like, you know, however many people we are. Like it's the Ram's Head, I think is where we played. And if you've been there, you know that's a big fucking spot when it's packed. And
Yeah,
it's fucking nerve wracking as hell.
it's amazing how many different times I've heard different drummers talk about being skater punks too. It's a common thread amongst a lot of guys you and I both know.
Yeah, man. I mean, I skated from I think I was like 8th grade up until like I don't know, maybe 22, 23, somewhere around there. After I broke my leg, I was like, I wanted to call it done because being out of drums and not being able to play like for 5 months really sucked. So
Another common thread. You know what I mean? Like Chris Contos, Gus Rios, Danny Walker. I mean, all these guys. Well, Gus still skateboards, but that's Gus. He's crazy. But yeah, I can see that. I mean, like I was in bands and serious about music from the time I was probably 17 to 35 or whatever, and I wouldn't even go skiing. You know what I mean? Like I used to like skiing, but I'm like, I'm not going to go skiing and break my leg or something so I can't play.
Yeah, man, that's honestly what did it for me when I was 22, 23. It was like, I don't know, just being out of like, I think, I was also like not working because, at the time I was like being a busboy at a restaurant or whatever. And it requires you to walk around all day. So I didn't have a job for 5 months. Like it was just fucking miserable just being at home, not being able to play drums or anything. So definitely took that opportunity to write a lot of the early Torture Rack stuff for sure, though.
And you mentioned not playing the drums after dark or something. Was that what you said a little while ago at home?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, that was like a big thing. Was like I had to cut off at a certain hour.
Yeah, you're lucky. I couldn't play unless nobody was home.
Oh, really?
For a while, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I annoyed the hell out of my stepdad and my neighbors and all that, but luckily my parents were cool with it. So it was just after a certain amount of time and practice that you just gotta pull the plug.
Long before the days of e-kits, right?
Yeah, for sure. I remember actually that was one of the first drum sets I had. It wasn't an e-kit, but it was a toy like electronic kit.
Yeah.
Toys R Us that my parents got me, I think, when I was like either 8 or 9 for Christmas. So like now, just like thinking about that question you asked me earlier about first kits, I remember being that young, like just bashing on that stuff.
Do you remember if it was round drums or was it like octapads, like Bill Bruford style?
Dude, it had like an actual, like, it didn't have a kick pedal, but it had like a thing for the kick drum, and you just press down on it. So it kind of like mimicked an actual E-kit, but
just a bent piece of malleable metal, or like how they used to teach the chopsticks,
Just super cheap fucking plastic. Yeah, it was like one of those kits.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had one of those too. I think when I like the animal one, just like a paper head, and it lasted about 45 minutes.
Yeah, those things are awesome, man. Like, I mean, gotta start somewhere,
Well, here's a greetings from Poland. Greetings. Thanks for joining us.
I think we'll be there later this year. I think.
Right on. Let me go into we talked about a bit of your influence from your early ages. The Mitchells and the Cobhams and all the different drummers we talked about there a little while ago. What about today? Is there anybody out there you're listening to that's inspiring you or making you go, holy shit,
Yeah, man.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of them, but I'm curious to think, to hear who yours are.
Oh man, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is Jamie St. Murat.
Oh, Ulcerate, yes, sir.
He's very, very good, very talented.
He's like the New Zealand's answer to Gorguts.
Yeah, dude, I've never seen Ulcerate live, but I've watched his videos a handful of times, and yeah, I have a lot of respect for what he does behind the kit for sure. I think Alex from Teeth is another good example of just someone who fucking slays. Aaron from Vile Rights, I think he's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential. Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many. It's hard to, we got time. So, if you come up with another one, later on, just throw it in. I mean, if you like Leaf, if you like, like you said, Jamie St. Murat and stuff like that, I don't know if you've heard of a band called Fallen Limbs and a guy named Lee Fisher, but you would dig that too.
I don't think I've heard of that band, no.
I'll keep it on my list here and I'll send you a link post-pod, as they say.
Okay, yeah. Dude, there's like so many good fucking metal drummers. That's what I'm saying. Is like it's really hard to pick them all because I mean everybody has their own special thing that they're good at,
Yeah.
I mean, Charlie's killing it.
He is.
Carlos from Warbringer, he's fucking killing it.
For anybody who may not know what he meant there was Charlie Korn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of super talented drummers that it's hard to think about on the spot,
Sure. Yeah, there's so much. I mean, last year we had like 80 albums on our favorites list. You know what I mean?
And, I'm trying to think of new drummers because honestly, sometimes I don't think I've really been listening to any metal lately, besides some friends have sent me. But lately I've been listening to a lot more classical stuff. So it's but as far as new stuff, yeah, man,
well, Kilner's killing it. Bryce Butler's killing it. Adam Hallman is killing it. Stuff like that. And Aaron Hetzko. The new guy, Fallujah, just picked up, who I don't know. I hate to say, but I'm going to be looking into him. These are all,
Chad from Necrot. There's so many fucking good drummers out there. It's really hard to pick, because like I said, everybody has something that they're all really good at, And
it's crazy where it's gone so fast,
Yeah, and there's very, very few. But there's a lot at the same time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so much. It's hard to keep track of, even with me doing, what I do. The influx of, people emailing me, messaging me, sending me videos, all this and that. It's just, I don't even have time really to have a favorite band anymore because I have so much to go through, I'm not complaining. It's great. Oh, here we go.
A lot of the music I've had to been listening to lately is just all this session work I've been doing. So I've only heard these 2 songs, but I just finished tracking it this week, but that's been in my library for the last week or 2. Is
sure. That's all you can listen to, right?
Yeah, because I don't want to. I don't know. When I do session work, I just want to focus on one thing,
Yeah. Another one that's really good these days is Joseph K. from Last of Us.
Yeah, no, he's insane. They call him the doctor, right?
They call him the professor, which I don't like because that's Neil Peart's fucking nickname. But what are you gonna do? I guess there could be more than one professor, but not for me. No offense, Joseph. You're sick. And here's another lot of Western Europe. Greetings from Austria.
Austria, right on.
Thank you for joining us. All right, let's go back into the. I'm tabbing around to the wrong tabs. Okay, practicing. I see you do a lot of videos. I think it's your home. Do you have a kit set up at home or?
It's in my rehearsal studio in North Portland.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time there.
Do you actually, before we get into the practicing thing, do you even have time to practice anymore? Or are you just busy doing session and preparing for projects that you're, involved with?
That's, pretty much the last one you just said was, I mean, I still practice when I'm like on tour. I'll run drills, endurance and speed drills. But yeah, for the most part, I spend most of my time writing drum parts and recording them for session work or just preparing for a tour or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I consider it all practice. To me, like it's every time I get behind the drums, it's all practice for me,
Sure. I'm just, you know what I mean.
Yeah. But as
know.
far as like running drills and stuff, like I'll do it like when I first get there, and get situated. I generally don't like to warm up for more than 30 minutes before I get going. But yeah, a lot of my practice time was spent when I was younger. I didn't really like. I didn't say I will. I didn't really slack off when it came time to practice when I was a younger, kid. Like I actually took my time learning the rudiments, whereas sometimes I feel when kids first get their drums, they just want to go crazy. For me, the fact that I had a drum pad previously and I had to learn these rudiments, I wanted to make that transition into the drum kit as smooth as it could be. So a lot of my practice time was spent as a kid.
Sure.
But even now, I still do the same stuff I practiced as a younger kid,
My in school when I took snare drum or whatever, just in school, band, like we're talking 4th grade, 5th grade, they actually had little tear sheets, Monday, Tuesday, and you had to have your parents sign off on it to see if you did 30, 45 minutes, whatever, and I did kind of get annoyed by it back then. I'm glad I did it now because, what you just mentioned too has been a common thread in a lot of the interviews we've done. And that is, kids today, they get on the drums and they just want to fly before they walk. Right. So
yeah,
the rudiments, if you're listening and you're just starting out, I can't stress enough how important that shit is. Play them till you're so sick of them and then play them again and again and again.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what I did, man.
Yeah. It just makes the transition into the kit that much easier. You won't get frustrated as quick thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm running out of fresh fills. If you know your rudiments inside and out, you won't be worried about fresh fills because they come from rudiments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I spent a lot of time with rudiments, in my younger years. I don't know, just the learning how to piece them all together and make cool phrasings and that, how you said, that's how you get really cool fills.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been one of my focuses as a drummer is creating something new based off of what's already laid out,
Yeah. And the guys like you mentioned earlier, like Caluta and, even Lang and all these guys, even when you get into the jazz and the blues stuff or funk, like Harvey Mason and all these players, it's so sick to watch how fluent and relaxed they are, incorporating different rudiments into their fills. You don't even notice, but if you go back and watch again, they are just playing the rudiments.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, a lot of those crazy drum videos are just basic rudiments. It's just like you said, people fucking play it until they're sick of them. And
yeah, the only way to get fluidity, if you don't know them and you try and do them, you're going to have choppy fills, but you're going to be worried about it. But if you know them like the back of your hand, the fills will just come naturally, right?
Yeah.
Then you, like you said, you piece them together and then do what you will with them. And that's, again, practice your rudiments, kids. I still do them. I'm 51 and I sit at my drum set every single night for at least a half an hour. And I do, 3-stroke, 5-stroke, 7, 9, 11-stroke rolls, slower, faster, never changing the dynamic, keeping it the same volume just through my mesh, E-kit on my Alesis. And then, then I'll play some songs. but every night I start with just rolls.
At least something to get the muscles moving. Because to me, honestly, at this point, it's a lot of it's muscle memory. Like when I'm doing a blast beat or just any sort of like metal-ish beat. It's like a lot of it's just muscle memory and just trying to be in time with that click track or whatever, if there is a click track or whatever, but I did, as far as practice goes, like when COVID happened, that's when I spent a lot of time kind of going back to those practice days and like dialing in some stuff I wasn't like totally comfortable with, because everything was shut down and I got laid off my job. So I was just like, well, what else am I going to do for 8 hours a day? And just like worked out and played drums, and that was it.
Well, it's an interesting point you just brought up too. Well, I'll just ask you while we're on it. We're talking about practicing. You mentioned click. What's your deal with click? All the time? Some of the time? None of the time?
It has time and place for sure. For me, when I was growing up, I practiced my I practiced my rudiments with a click track. Yeah, just because I feel like that's how you get tighter. Growing up and playing live shows up until like recently and like playing with vitriol and stuff like that, most live shows I've done, I never use a click track. The first time I did use a click track live was with vitriol. I think that was in 2021, and
is that because the music is so insane, or because you're running sequence in the background, or both?
It's pretty insane shit to play.
Oh, I know. I'm just wondering if there's sequences coming through that you have to be with the click so you're not off the sequence.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was any of that going on. I think it was just because it's super demanding. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Mass Job as the drummer right now, dude. That new record they put out is fucking insane, dude.
It's absolutely insane.
But so that was the first time I used the click track live. Most of the recordings I've done on drums, I think not all of them have been tracked with a click, but the more recent ones within 4 to 5 years have been at least tracked with a click. I think Matum record was not, and that's, I think, one of my tightest performances without a click track. But
sure.
Yeah, I'd say since doing session work, the use of tracking with it has skyrocketed for me. Every session I get now, I just ask them for a click track just because it just helps be my guide, A lot of time is spent writing the parts, but for the most part, I listen to these changes in the song and I make little notes in the project. So if I'm just tracking a song and recording basic ideas, I could just look over at my computer and kind of tell what's coming up next without really putting too much thought into it,
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of flows much better that way. There's a lot of stuff that I actually take my time and write for, though, for sure. Like the more Kara session work. Oh, there's a lot, seen countless takes of just different ideas, just trading back and forth, seeing what he likes, and then getting it all over again is really hard to relearn.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a question here that popped up, and I like this because, like I told you before the interview started, I don't mind having questions prepared, but I don't like to anymore because I think the interviews flow better when there's really no questions and just go off categories. It's like when I did NAMM for 14 years. I used to start out going to NAMM, trying to book everything every day. Who am I seeing? Who am I writing about? Whether it's Trick or Sabian or whatever it is, I tried to schedule it all out. I did that for about 3-4 years until I realized that if I just go and do what I want, I found myself getting more opportunities throughout the day at a NAMM to get more coverage when I wasn't worried about who was available when. And with this platform being live on YouTube and Twitch, I'd like the users, the people watching, to throw some questions in. And I think that's more fun, for one. I think it's more advantageous, and I think it's a way to make the interview move along in a cooler fashion than me just scripted questions. You know what I mean? So here's one that popped up from our visitor from Austria, and that was funny because someone said, put another shrimp on the bobby. And then here's someone else in the chat saying, that was Austria, not Australia. So here's a question, and it's, as an extreme metal drummer himself, he has a question. Do you ever get the feeling of satisfaction or how proud you are of what you played or recorded live?
Oh, man, yeah, dude.
How often?
I mean, it's not every show, that's for sure.
Sure.
Definitely feel like super proud of, every record I've done. I don't know. I personally love every record I've ever done because it's music that I want to hear for first and foremost. So it's like I feel good about it. But yeah, I can't really say there's one record that I'm like, I really wish I didn't do that one. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm definitely more satisfied with the stuff I have on recordings. Playing live shows, it's not every show's the same, and not every show's a spectacular show by any means. But when you do play a show without fucking up, that's an incredible feeling because, I mean, we're all human, sometimes brain farts happen, and shit happens, technical difficulties, whatever. Like, I feel like it's easier to remember the shit shows compared to the good shows.
Yeah.
In a weird way, because for me, I'm my own worst critic, so every time I fuck up, I feel like that's my biggest downfall is every time I just get in my own head about that sort of stuff, like rather than just like appreciating the fact that, oh, here we are at this show. And instead of just focusing on the details of, oh, you fucked that fill up or you blast hand wasn't whatever, it's just like it's a lot easier to get in that zone rather than just enjoying the actual show as a whole.
Yeah. I'll go back real quick, too, to this comment from earlier. Aldo Hernandez says Pierce is a beast. Glad you brought him in. Aldo is also a beast. So I will just throw that out there. And then back to the question you just answered. It may also have something to do with if you actually how much you had in the actual writing of said song versus someone programming all the drums and you just playing the drums, how much pride you would take in it, either in the studio or live, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if you crafted it, you're going to be more proud of it than if it was someone else's part, right?
Yeah, that's a good point too, because there's like the fact of like, oh, I wrote that, you know what I mean? Like rather than like somebody pre-programming the drums and then like here it is sent and you want me to just replicate that. Ultimately, it's either way. I still try to find my way to sneak in my own personality within whatever track I'm working on,
Sure.
That was one thing I told the Skeletal dudes when they started writing some of the newer stuff was like, I'm going to try and sneak in some jazz and punk sort of sprinkles throughout, they're scattered throughout. They're very few and far between, but they're there,
Little sprinkles here and there, some tasty sprinkly.
Yeah. Salt or whatever. Just little dashes here and there.
Are you and if anybody else watching has questions, I'll try and throw them in. There are a lot of people here, and they're on YouTube and Twitch. So if I don't put your question up, please excuse me. But feel free to throw a couple questions in there as we go along, and I'll try and ask them if I can. And there's thank you so much for answering, Stefan. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Stefan. Click tracks. This is something I had Elliot Hoffman on not long ago, And I've known Elliot for a long time, back from Spooge, which was his band before Car Bomb. And I just recently learned that Car Bomb has never used a click live or in the studio. And to me, that's still fucking mind blowing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think. I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think a click track is totally necessary for any studio work in this day and age. It's like it's absolutely the most common thing to work with in the studio. Some of my favorite records weren't even really tracked with a click track though, so it's like I said, it has its time and place. I mean, obviously, I use it and take advantage of it, but I'm not speaking for everyone. I just have this feeling that a lot of people are under the misconception that tracking with a click makes you better, a better player than someone else, or it makes you.
Sure. No.
People have this misconception that not playing with a click track makes you a terrible drummer or a terrible musician, which
the same people that think triggers are cheating, right? I mean,
this is complete bullshit because I mean, there's so many good records out there that the drummer never even used the click track, and it's fucking perfect. You know what I mean? Because I mean, just go back and listen. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it has its place. You know what I mean? It has its place, especially if you're tracking remotely with different guys. Then, of course, you need it. But if you're all in the same place, the same room, and you guys are tight, like Car Bomb, that's the other reason that they can do it, because they've just been the same band, same members for so long. It would take away from the natural flow and feel of the music. And here's the other thing on top of that blew my mind is they'll go in the studio and Elliot will sit down and he will write 10, 12, 15 parts for a section, a bar or whatever, a verse. And then they sit down, they listen all back. And then from those, they'll pick their favorites.
Yeah.
And then they'll make the song out of those favorites and record it in the studio that way, then learn it to play it live after they've done it from piecing those together.
That's a great way to record a song, because I mean, ultimately the whole point of getting it on record is to have it be what you want to hear forever. Like, once it's out in the world, there's nothing else you could do about it. So I mean, yeah, like, I don't know, playing with a click track, it's definitely a hot issue right now, I guess.
Well, like you said earlier too, you're your own worst critic, and most drummers are. And you'll take, as soon as you leave the studio back in the day with your CD, ready to listen to in the car on the way home, you're like, oh man, I should have changed that part.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I use it and I take advantage of it. But then again, I'm also aware of like the pros and cons of using it and not using it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it absolutely makes anybody sound tighter, but I think a lot of people also abuse the aspect of making it impossibly too tight. You know what I mean? Where everything is just perfect and whatever. And so there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
I think using it live, for me personally, it helps me stay more relaxed in my experience. So I'm never opposed to playing with it live. The only thing that sucks about playing with it live is if you're not a headlining band or you don't have a sound check, it's pretty much like not going to happen for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because most of the shows I play, it's all from memory. We just did Skeletal just did a few shows, and that was our first time using a click track, because I think we were doing some backing tracks throughout the newer songs or whatever. So that was the first time we've played with a click track live.
That's interesting too, because Bryce Butler a few weeks ago said that when he does session work or fills in for a band live, he'll just literally put the recorded version of the song in his in-ears and play along to it as the click. You know what I mean? Because if something the band fucks up, he knows it wasn't him, right?
Yeah. No, I've definitely done that, and it's honestly, that's like how I learned how to play like death metal drums, was just learning to play the song how it sounds, not really relying on the click itself up until recent years, but yeah, like, I mean, I remember learning a lot of death songs, and I'm sure all that was tracked with a click,
Mm-hmm.
But when I was playing it and growing up, I just played it along by ear,
Here's another question I'll pop up from George, I believe. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. I don't want to assume it's Jorge or something, but
Jorge,
thanks. We'll call you JF.
yeah, that's my stepdad, Jorge. Yeah.
What's your current favorite song to play?
Oh man, that is a hard question. For which band? I guess not.
You pick.
I want to say the instrumental song for the Skeletal, from the new record. We played that live. That was probably my favorite one to play.
The new record, of course, being Fragments of the Ageless, that came out on March 8th. So if you guys haven't grabbed it yet, grab it. It's nasty.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was also very stressful to record all that shit.
Did you record with the band, or was it done remotely? Or are you guys all in the same area? Does your studio around the corner have anything to do with it, just aside from pre-prod? Or
yeah, so they flew me down to California, and we tracked it at fuck, I'm trying to remember
I thought you were in California.
No, I live in Portland.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Okay. I
I
thought you were in LA.
We tracked with John Haddad. I'm trying to remember his studio name right now. I know he runs a custom drum company called Cherry Hill Drums. I'm trying to think of his studio, though. It's in Corona, California, I want to say. He's tracked a lot of bands in that studio. I'm just French Studios. Yeah, that's the one. So that's where we track drums, and Chris and Mike were there to just like oversee. And
Corona, is that in a house? Is it in the basement of a house?
Yeah, it was in his. I mean, it's a studio house. Like, yeah, it's a nice house.
You know what's crazy? As I've been there.
It's a cool spot, man.
Danny Walker's recorded there a bunch, and Chasen actually recorded. Oh no, Scott Fuller recorded there one time.
I think he used to live there.
Okay, that makes sense because that's where we picked him up.
Yeah, that's
Anton were out there, and we picked him up to go somewhere, and we picked him up at that studio.
Yeah, that's where we tracked the drums. And,
okay,
that was, yeah, dude. He has such a cool setup over there, dude. Like,
it is pretty wild.
It's. Did you see all his like drum making equipment and all that stuff?
We're talking like we were there for 5 minutes, and it was like 14 years ago. So I walked in and saw it, and then walked out.
Dude, I was like more impressed with that than the studio. I was like, whoa, dude, like just drum stuff everywhere. It was incredible.
I'm blown away that I've actually been there, and you just mentioned it because it's a small world, man.
Yeah. That was a cool spot to track. I crashed out over there at his house.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got everything in 3 days. I think, I want to say 3 or 4 days. I think I was there for 4 days, but I think one of the days was just setting everything up and whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, that was really nerve-wracking because those dudes would send me their ideas with drum programs, and hearing a perfectly in time traditional blast beat at 260 BPM is like pretty fucking intimidating, because it's just perfect. So it's like, yeah, just trying to replicate anything that they programmed was very stressful.
Yeah. It's like trying to play anything Mike Heller writes.
Yeah, it was fun, but like, it's also like definitely like felt the nerves the first day, but then once you start going and getting in the zone, it's like the recording process was really smooth. I think it was just like a lot of the anxiety and build up prior to it,
Okay. Another question popped up here from Stefan Rojas, it looks like. Yeah, I'll just pop it up here. Extreme music is not really for everybody. What makes you keep doing this What's your motivation? Thanks for the question.
That's a good question, man. I don't know. I think
Passion.
I think just the love for creating something new. I mean, like, sounds really cliche, but yeah, like the art and beauty of just like creating something is it's an indescribable feeling that I don't really get much fulfillment with, like without. Also, just the fact that I'll never know every single thing about there is to drums. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that I can learn something new about this instrument every day that's one of my biggest motivations.
That's cool. And that's something that will go on probably till the end of time, is there'll be something new to learn about drums,
Yeah, I mean,
that matter.
Yeah, I can't really say there's like much more to it than that. Just the actual love of making music and making something that connects with someone else.
There's a bit of glare on it behind you, but is that a Defenders of the Faith poster?
No, it's Firepower. It's pretty.
I saw the logo, and going back to the beginning of this interview, talking about who got you to play, who inspired you when you were a kid. Simon Phillips played drums on Judas Priest Sin After Sin record, and the second track, I believe, is called Starbreaker, and it's got like a little snare and hi-hat, kind of cool little intro. And I heard that, and that's what made me want to play drums when I was 10.
Fuck yeah, man. You can't really... If you don't like Judas Priest, I don't like you,
Here's a question. I know I just popped up the brand of sticks you play, which is a Canadian company called Los Cabos.
Yeah.
But Auntie B wants to know what type of that brand you use.
Los Cabos, yeah. So I just got on with that company from Eric and Charlie were the two guys who got me hooked onto them. Charlie from Incantation and Eric from Suffocation.
Yep,
dude, they're fucking awesome sticks.
They are awesome sticks, and they're a great family. They're great people. Yeah,
very, very well balanced. Yeah, and honestly, like they got here super quick. I've only been playing them. I think I got my first like bundle just like right before the Skeletal set a few weeks ago. So I've only been playing on them for I don't know, like 4 or 5 weeks. But I love the feel of them so far.
Yeah, must be some of the Canadian trees or something.
Yeah, no, I love. I think that was one of the things that like drew me into them was Charlie let me fuck around with his sticks backstage or whatever during that tour, and I think he was rocking either the 5B or 5. I think he was rocking the 5B or 2B or something. He plays pretty heavy sticks, but
he plays the heavier ones backstage when he's warming up too. Because I've used his sticks backstage before I saw him play last time, and I'm like, man, these are nasty.
Yeah, I just really like the weight distribution of them because the sticks I was playing before then, they were really good, but I was never really satisfied with the bounce of the stick for each pair. But honestly, yeah, Los Cabos is so far treated me awesome, and they work really well. I just finished up tracking I think 2 records and like an EP with using their drumsticks. So they last me.
Nice. Cool. I'm going to take a quick break here and throw up a little word from one of our ongoing sponsors. I believe this one here is only a 15-second clip, so we'll see you in 15 seconds. Hold tight.
I'm going to grab some water.
Deal. we are back there from that little break. Let's take another one while he's getting some water. Well, a little word from Evans.
The most technically advanced drummers in the world require the most technologically advanced drumheads. Bit of a no-brainer when you think about it. In any case, we're more than happy to oblige.
I did too. It's all right. We'll take another little second here while I'm doing this. I've been on Twitch for a while doing these, but I recently have been working on my Alesis kit, and I'm going to start to stream drums on Twitch, and I've been testing and dealing with cameras and all that kind of thing. But what we are doing is we're going to be doing some giveaways on Twitch pretty soon, and I'm going to try and have this not shine out too bright. But if you can see that, it's a Sentent USA, and over here is a laser-etched Sick Drummer Magazine logo. And this is an 8-inch, and it's the Tang Series 8-inch splash from Sentent. We will be giving this away on one of our upcoming live or my drum streams, so stay tuned. You can follow the channel on Twitch. It's free, and we'll be going live quite a bit. And then the other thing I have here that's going to be another giveaway pretty soon is this graphic head from Mr. Matt Byrne of Hatebreed. And when we do pick the winner for this, I will send it to Matt, and he will sign it, and then send it off to the winner, whenever that may be, and however we decide that. But we're going to basically be trying to give away a prize every time I stream.
That's pretty cool, man.
It'll be, it'll be more for like the round tables and for the drum stream itself. But
how thick is that splash symbol?
It's pretty thick. Here, look.
Damn, yeah, no, that's dope.
Yeah, it's pretty compared, because I'm giving some I'm not bending that shit.
Yeah, well, it's pretty bulky.
I'm trying, and they're a great company. I mean, the guy's name is Arthur Stones, and if you want a good cymbal from a good company, I'm giving you a free plug here, Art. You can get a whole setup of his cymbals for a price that's insane. I mean, almost for like what you'd pay for one, 20-inch or 18-inch crash, or forget a ride or whatever from the other bigger brands, which I have nothing against the other bigger brands. I love them all. I've played them all. I have them all. But he's doing something really cool and really different with Sentent, and they're very, very affordable. And Tom Pilasiewicz is playing them now, and he loves them. Ex-Gorgasm drummer, Tomasz. So yeah.
Where are they based out of?
I believe he is in I think he's in Florida.
Okay.
Mess with you. I'm not sure.
I know Tom posts quite a bit of drum stuff. But
yeah,
I want to say a lot of the stuff I've seen him do is on the E-Kit recently.
Recently, yes, he's doing a lot of E-Kit stuff at home, and then he's doing a lot of stuff now with Damien from Gorgasm and Broken Hope. He's in another project. They got some stuff coming up soon, some shows, and he's getting back into it. He took a while off and raised the kids, but now he's got the bug again, and he's putting a lot of time back behind the skins, man, for sure.
Yeah, I remember that was like one of the first videos you guys had, wasn't it?
It was actually, I believe, the first video we uploaded to our YouTube, and it was Cut Killer.
Yeah, well, it was like...
I was there for an entrance.
years ago?
16.
I was about that age, and I remember watching that just countless times. Like, holy shit, man, it's so fucking fast.
It is so fast. We got some more people jumping in here. I haven't been looking. Thanks for joining us, AZ. This is my buddy Anthony Zakari, who plays in a band out of Toronto called Prospects. If you like Between the Buried and Me, Lamb of God, and Faith No More, you'll dig his band. He's an incredible drummer on Twitch, as well as a teacher up in Canada. Him and I just went up to see the Pantera reunion with Lamb of God about a month ago.
Oh, sick.
Hung out with Charlie and our Cruz after the show for a while. And then the day after, I was coming home in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is about, I don't know, hour and a half from where I live, hour and a half from Toronto, so it's in the middle. I stopped and I saw the Neil Peart Memorial Pavilion they built at Lakeside Park. I saw the house Neil grew up in. I took pictures, saw the school they all went to. It was really awesome little, 2-day trip. We got some other guys jumping in here from, I'm guessing he rated me, but I'm not looking at Twitch, so I can't see. But what's up, Metal Overlord? What's up, UBI? Sebastian Blade, thanks for joining us. I have a song queued up here that I was going to play. So if anybody's on here that doesn't know you, which I doubt, it's Unmerciful from Skeletal. Is there anything you want to maybe say about this particular song before I play it? It's about 3. Let me look here. I'll tell you exactly how long it is. You probably know.
7.5 minutes.
I'm sorry?
I think it's like 7.5 minutes or some shit like that.
No, it's 3:51 on the YouTube. Unmerciful drum tracking.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a clip of the drum tracking. Yeah.
Okay. So this is at the Haddad studio then?
Yeah, Trench. Yeah. So
Trench.
This was, I think, the second or third song I tracked.
Cool.
So this is a very early song to get done for the record.
Are you cool with me playing it?
Yeah, man, for sure.
All right. I'll be cool with me playing it until YouTube strikes it for me. I'm going to do this a different way. Normally I upload a video into this software, which is called StreamYard. But instead of doing that, I'm going to use their present feature almost like you would share in a Zoom. So if this fucks up, excuse me, it's my first time doing it. But we should be fine. Let me go ahead and present this, and I'm going to step away, and I'll be back before 3:51. All right, so everybody, this is Pierce Williams, Skeletal Remains, playing a little clip from the Unmerciful track. And we will be back in about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Awesome.
That's a fun song to play.
Let me close that up. What I just learned is that when I do that, I can still see me and you on the side on Twitch. I opened up a Twitch browser.
Yeah.
I thought I was off camera, so if I picked my nose or anything, I'm sorry. That was pretty wild. Wow, there's all kinds of comments now. Let's see here. Easy. Here you go. This is Becca has a question for you, Pierce. What advice do you have for aspiring metal drummers looking to improve their skills?
I have practice a lot, and just practice a lot and don't give up. I mean, it's not supposed to be easy, you know. I would just say, take advantage of all the little details. Just because I think there's a lot of stuff that I know when I first started drumming that I overlooked, you know, like just little details such as like how you hold the stick, like technique, and, you know, playing with a click track, and just there's so much stuff to learn. It's very easy to also overlook a lot of stuff. So my advice, to anybody starting out would be just to keep an open mind and listen to as many different styles of music as possible, because there's a lot of great shit to listen to. I'm not the biggest country fan, but I mean, there is some country I like, you know. I think that helps musicians in the long run, is having an open mind and, you know, not only focusing on one particular subject of music, you know.
Yeah, well, look at Bobby Jarzenbeck, you know, from Spastic Inc. to Halford to Sebastian Bach to Fate's Warning. Now he's selling out arenas with George Strait.
Yeah, that's my biggest advice, is just keep an open mind, practice a lot, and just absorb as much as you can, and learn to like grow and learn new things along the way, you know. Because I mean, there's a lot of people who are set in this sort of way of playing and their approach to drumming, and, you know, certain people are, you know, I don't know, it's everybody has a different approach, but ultimately the main goal that I'm trying to get out is just to be accepting of all of it, because there's things I can learn from any sort of style of music, you know. Death metal may not have, you know, like.
Sorry, I'm pulling this out again. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries, but that's really about it. It's just listen to as much shit as you can, and practice and do what makes you happy, which is, for me, is playing music. And at the end of the day, music's fun to play. So I mean, as long as you practice and have fun, that's really my only advice, is just make it fun and absorb everything.
Right on. The reason I pulled these back out is because a lot of people joined in from that raid from AZ Drums, I'm sure, on Twitch, and I did this beforehand. So real quick, to all you Twitch viewers on here, my channel, I'm going to be doing some drum streaming as well as these interviews soon, and we're going to be giving away this Sentent Tang Series 8-inch laser etched with the Sictor magazine logo on it on our channel pretty soon, as well as this Matt Byrne from Hatebreed graphic head, which we will have signed by him and sent to the winner whenever we decide how we're going to give it away and who wins it. So please stick around, and if you haven't followed our channel, please do follow or subscribe to our YouTube, and you'll be able to stay tuned to find out how you can win some stuff. And speaking of Charlie Corn, what's up? He's in Switzerland. How are you, Charlie? Thanks for joining us, sir.
What's up, buddy? Hope you're having a good time on the road, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, those are cool prices you got there, man. Fuck.
Oh, thank you, man. I get a lot of good people sending me a lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah, those are really cool.
Charlie, while you're here, we were just talking about you a minute ago, and when we were warming up backstage, the thicker sticks that you use, what are those, if you don't mind dropping that in the chat? I forgot the thickness or the stick model that I played backstage with you in Rochester, and they were pretty beefy. And just had a question about that while we were talking. While he's doing that, if he's going to do that, aside from the sticks, I mean, what else are you playing right now? Is there any endorsements you're trying to go after? I mean, what's your favorite gear right now?
Yeah, man. I mean, I am trying to get a Mino endorsement. I just got somebody's contact a few days ago, so I just need to send an email and
Brewer?
What's that?
Was it Brewer?
I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It was a few days ago that I got a message saying to message him. But yeah, right now I've really been enjoying what Charlie says, the Rob Carson DC-10.
Yeah, those are the marching sticks.
Yeah. I think I have a pair of those too.
Thanks,
I
Charlie.
don't know if they're the same exact ones as that he uses, but yeah, I honestly I love marching sticks for warming up. But yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You're going after Mino, huh?
Yeah. So far, I've been playing mostly Mino symbols for, I'm going to say like the last 2 or 3 years. I've tried a handful of, different ones. I used Sabians and Zildjians before in the past, but I think I get a lot more out of Mino symbols than any other symbol. I don't know if it's because of how long I'm in the studio every day, but the Sabians and Zildjians were just cracking on me like pretty consistently. Mino symbols I can get probably like 4 to 6 months of use out of each one before any sort of damage happens,
That's odd for me to hear, because just watching that Unmerciful video a minute ago, your symbols are at like the right angle to not break a lot.
Yeah, it could be an issue of like me just constantly being in the studio all the time, and why like I was going through Sabians and Zildjians, but yeah, I'd say I like the Mino for their durability. If anybody's a Mino rep watching this, I'd really like an endorsement.
Well, let me know afterwards who you got the name of. If it's
yeah, I got to read the text back over, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head though.
No worries. And then what else? Drums, pedals.
Man, it'd be cool to get a pedal endorsement. Right now, I'm playing the Pearl Demon Drives.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing those since COVID. I love them. I don't have any complaints about them. Some of the drive shafts I'm like kind of iffy on. I don't know. I might need to invest in a double bass kit and try it out for a change, because I don't know. Something about these drive shafts that I've been having issues on lately, just like feel like might be limiting what I can do. But yeah,
Have you tried throwing like an ACD shaft on it or something like that?
Yeah, I did do that. I have an ACD shaft on it right now. I think I just need to. I don't know. It's hard to, because there's so many different like pieces of equipment that anybody could choose from. I guess I'm still just like finding my right setup for the pedals.
Mm-hmm.
I like the feel of the ACDC, ACD shaft. The ACDC shaft, man. No, I like the feel of it.
Looks to be like a common thing here, but yeah, he's got him on his kit.
Yeah, I like that, and I like the trick shaft too. I'm still just playing around with different settings and whatever, you know.
Well, speaking of Thomas, you should talk to Thomas because he's been through everything lately, and he's just finally landed on his ideal setup. Maybe it would work for you too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up playing shitty pedals, so like when I got these like demon drives, it was like holy shit, you know what I mean? I grew up playing on just single, double chain drives, whatever, like nothing like super fancy. It wasn't until COVID hit when I actually had enough money to be able to afford, a $1,000 pair of pedals at the time. And I think it was around $950 was what I paid for those. And then I think one of the lugs for the drive shaft got stripped, and it was on a tour with Skeletal in like Germany or some shit like that. And since then, my search for a good drive shaft has like been ongoing.
Right on. So I'm confused by that, and if it's personal, I'm sorry. How did you finally have the money when COVID hit to do anything versus before COVID?
I think it was just more so just like me, like I guess it was just me like, oh, it's not going to make me play better. You know what I mean? Because like not necessarily the fact that I didn't have the money. It's just I don't know. At the time, I had I was getting all my recording equipment and shit, so like that stuff's really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I have this money left over. Like, I can't. Why not see? I mean, because dude, like $1,000 drop for like just drum pedals is a lot.
It is, man. It is, and it's been that way for a while. I mean, I've earned Cobras that back in the day cost me like $600 or $700. I mean, we're talking 15 years ago.
Yeah, and like I don't know. For me, I was always under the impression that it's not the gear that makes the drummer. It's like the fact that I could do what I can now with any sort of pedal is like it's never really been an issue for me to play whatever I need to play. So like I guess that mentality of just like how I said, like, being stuck in my old ways and not like really being open to like adapting and trying new things, that I guess at that point was when I was like, I have this extra money left over. I'm investing in all this expensive equipment. I might as well try out these expensive pedals and see what all the fuss is about, because up until that point, I didn't really care to spend that much money on a pair of pedals. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Just to like, yeah. So, I mean, that's really the main reason why. It's just, I was like, oh, it's not going to make me play better, but it helped out, significantly with what I'm playing now.
So over the years then, what would you say has been the most reliable piece of gear you've had or still have?
Dude, the double pedals I played on forever. The Gibraltar double chain. I played on those for like 12 years. They've never done me any wrong. I recorded so many records with them, and up until 4 years ago, they were a solid fucking piece of equipment. I think I may have given them to Charlie as just like practice pedals or some shit like that.
Lucky.
Yeah, but like, they weren't anything more than like $350, $400 when I got them, and to me they worked for what I needed to do at that period in my music career. But yeah, once COVID hit and I got all this expensive music equipment, I was just like, fuck it, I might as well just see what all the fuss is about, see if I like them. And I have not touched another pedal that I find is better than those ones.
Cool.
I would like to try the Demon XRs. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the ones. Wasn't that the ones that Longstreth and Callias helped build and design and test?
Yeah, they look pretty cool. I like the idea of, I guess a lot of the issue a lot of drummers have with them is the fact that like there's not as many like accessories to like pick and choose like your perfect setup. But to me, like I said, I grew up playing on just whatever
Yeah,
whatever made it work for me, and I didn't like. I spent more time investing in learning how to play rather than relying on expensive equipment, which I think helped me in the long run. But I mean, yeah, having those sort of pedals like definitely changes the game.
yeah, I would say so.
I mean, I remember going on those direct drives for the first time. Even the Axis, I remember trying those out too, like when I was, 20, 22. It's like, holy shit, like it's a game changer when you do get those pedals.
It's a tough switch. It was for me anyway, because I'm not really a crazy double bass guy, but I went from, let's say, 5,000 EWs to 9,000s to Iron Cobras, and that's pretty much where I've been. I had some short short boards for a while. I sold them. I liked them. I'm like a 200, 210 max, guy. So I didn't really need them, and somebody else could have benefited from them better than I. And I was having a lot of problems even with trying different beaters and weights and this and that, getting the rebound I wanted that I was used to from the Iron Cobras or whatever. And I'm sure if I would have stuck with it, I would have figured it out and got it there because guys are doing it. But I just didn't have the patience, as an older player. I've tried the Dominators from Trick. I've tried the Kazarzi Capotios. I call them Crazy Cryptos because I can never say it right. Those are game-changing pedals.
Yeah, those are pretty smooth. It's just so crazy, like, with what people are coming out with nowadays because, I mean, like I said, I like the idea of the Demon XRs being, like, very minimal as far as, like, setup-wise because for me...
And cost.
I'm pretty much right out of the box at just the spring tension all the way, beaters.
Yep.
I have my shit. I know what I need to do in order to, play what I need to play. But I've never been one of those guys who's like, oh, well, maybe if I adjust this beater like just a centimeter this way, or maybe have this lug of, I've never been that into like the settings aspect.
Sure.
So I just want to get there and play. And that's the thing is if you're traveling in a touring band, sometimes you got to play some really shitty kits. That's an honest fucking truth that, I mean, I just realized, 2-3 years ago. Had I not brought my own pedals, I would have been fucking shit out of luck as far as playing goes.
Sure. And this is not to take anything away from the companies that do offer those types of pedals and those types of all different adjustments.
No, it's
because for some people that's great, and if it works for them, cool, and it's nice to have those options. But
yeah, to me, I always obviously I want to be comfortable when I play, so that's why I bring my pedals and cymbals and whatever luxury I can while I'm touring. I want to be able to play the same pedal every night. But I mean, there's tons of times where sometimes if you're at a festival, you just don't have an option and you have to play what's provided. And to me, I feel like that's maybe where a lot of people who might be up and coming might have some shortcomings because everybody's so dialed in with their perfect setting. They didn't think about the fact that if you're at a festival with, however many thousand people there is, you're probably going to play on a kit that's not set up the way you like it. You're probably not going to be on your own pedals. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the younger kids in the generation rely a little too heavily on equipment. Yeah, for me, I mean, it's cool, but I mean, I think the fact that I didn't have the most expensive gear right out of the gate, kind of helped me as a drummer. You know?
So how do you bring your own throne? Because for me, that's the biggest piece of the puzzle is that comfort on the throne and the balance. I mean, I know guys like Derek Roddy and Brian Zink and all these guys, they'll actually carry a little tape measure with them. And they'll make sure that the throne is the right distance from the floor so they can at least be, as comfortable as they can be at the right height if they're using a different throne. Do you have that issue or?
For the most part, like, I think when we played Hellfest, I had enough time to like get all my measurements right. But there is, I think there was like, I can't remember which festival it was, but I didn't have literally any time with the kit besides maybe moving a few things around, and it was terrible. But I feel like the throne is kind of like the easiest thing for me to get comfortable with because I just know what feels right for me,
Mm-hmm.
I was always taught like, kind of feet a little bit more than 90-degree angle, with
Same
with your knee. So yeah, I make it a point not to sit too high or too low, but whatever's comfortable for me. And that doesn't take me too long to dial in. Most of the time it's the stuff up top that kind of fucks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that. I missed a question back here. Auntie B wants to know how many hours a day on average do you play?
Oh man. On average, man, I'll play a lot. 6 to 8, I'd say every day. I mean, right now I've only been in the studio just to track these songs, and I tracked one song yesterday and a song earlier this week, and I guess the last 2 weeks I haven't spent much time playing, but when I'm back in my routine, give or take 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
So when you say tracking, are you finished product tracking or are you just pre-production tracking, stems?
Yeah, it's 2 songs. I think it'll be an EP. It's like this atmospheric black metal. But yeah, I'll like spend time, one day writing the parts and then memorizing it, and then I'll spend another day actually like tracking. So yeah, that's what I did last week, and I think I just finished up like Wednesday or Tuesday of this week. But
you're going all mic'd up, everything into your DAW. What DAW do you use?
It's a Tascam 8x18, so it's 18 inputs. It's a lot.
I have a Tascam US 1800 sitting right in front of me. Is that the same? Yeah.
So yeah, it's big. It's a big one.
Yeah, I love it. It's rack. Yeah.
I need to get more mics though, but that shit is very expensive.
And then into your computer, what's your software, your DAW?
I use Logic okay. Pro.
And are you sampling drum sounds or using your own or using?
I use all my own drum sounds for whenever I send them off to whoever, that's pretty much up to them whether they want to sample replace it or what. I mean, obviously, if I would have it my way, I would just make samples of my own kit rather than a pre-sampled like pack that somebody really likes or whatever. But I mean, yeah, ultimately, I send just all the tracks that I do. I never like replace anything except for like the kick track or whatever, just clean it up or whatever. But yeah, I send them all the raw tracks, and then whatever they decide to do is their business, because after I send them, my job is done.
Yeah, I know Gus Rios samples his own drums.
I think that's a good way to go about it if a producer is to sample anything rather than like replace an entire kit, because I mean, if you think about it, what's the point of buying these new heads and getting them tuned all nice if you're just going to use
exactly
stock, or not a stock plugin, but like, a sample that you've done for, countless records because you've liked it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, we've talked about that a lot in a bunch of interviews recently, and it's like, these days you get guys recording without cymbals, or you get guys recording without bass drums and then doing it all afterwards, and that's a good point. Why spend the money? And it's like you could go into a studio these days, set your shit up, hit everything once, and pack it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you could essentially do that. But yeah, with the whole sample replacing thing, I've never replaced my drums for like anything that I want to do. Like, I mean, once I record the drums and I send it off to the mixing engineer, it's no longer like, in my control.
Sure. Here's a question from somebody called Empower. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. I started here. Do you know a Polish band named Cat, Roman Kostruski? I do not. And it doesn't look like, no, Pierce does not either, but I will write that down.
Is that the drummer's name? I think you think that'd be the drummer's name, Roman?
Yeah. And then he said the best album is, I'm not going to even attempt that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to screenshot it right now just so I don't lose it, Empower. And
Yeah,
I'll check
it
it out afterwards. Do you have any tips then, as far as for your home recording, for people out there that are just getting into it or are into it but having any troubles? Do you have any tips that you've learned along the way, either for your own home studio or things that you may do before you go into a place like Trench?
Be prepared. That's big advice for sure.
Aside
from that, yeah.
dude.
I mean, I'm still figuring out the audio engineering aspect of it, but what I have learned is, obviously there's certain distances and angles that are beneficial for, mic placements and stuff like that,
Yeah, isolation.
Stuff about compression and whatever. Like, it's all good stuff to know and understand how to use. Like I said, I'm just now kind of understanding it, even after 4 years of really taking the deep dive.
Is that annoying then? Is that annoying going from your setup you've been used to moving the cymbals further away from your tom and spreading them apart? Is it, maybe extending more energy to get the isolation and the separation from the mics, or is it not?
No, honestly, that's one thing since I've started tracking my own stuff is I have raised my home kit to have the cymbals, further away from the toms. Basically, ever since I started tracking everything myself or whatever, I mean, I haven't tracked all of my own records, but for the things I have, I do the same setup live, and I try to mimic that same exact setup in the studio because one thing I wanted to make sure of when I was tracking the skeletal shit was it is a different drum kit than the one, I'm playing on at home. So there's different trigger settings. There's the toms tune differently. There's a lot of different aspects to it. Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to mimic the setup I have at home. And right now the setup I have at home is pretty, mic friendly.
Cool. It looks it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to get more mics for the rides. I want 2 ride mics and then one on my hats. I also want another pair of hats though. But yeah, I honestly, advice for starting out is don't blast the inputs on all your stuff. Try to get anything from audibly, in between -9 to -3 dB. That would be my biggest advice. Because I remember when I first started out, everything was really loud, everything was like, 0 dB and, just peaking and clipping. And that would be probably my biggest advice is turn your shit down. Because you can turn it up later,
Yeah.
And
so I watched.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say it took me a long time to realize that turning your shit down makes it sound better.
Sure. Yeah, that's like back in the day, I was recording with all kinds of EQ, and I learned from guys that knew a lot more than me, record flat, you know what I mean, and play with the sound afterwards, which made sense. I don't know if that's even relevant anymore today with the technology advances, but I just recently was watching Ken Schalk, ex-Candiria drummer, who was on Rain and Bozio's Twitch, and he helped him reskin his entire DW kit. And I'm wondering, do you tune each drum to an actual note or value, or just by ear?
For the longest time, it was by ear. I think one of my favorite tunings I've had is that Enigmatum record, the Deconsecrate. That was all by ear. For the Skeletal record, I really love those tunings, though, because we used a drum dial.
Yeah.
That was really cool because each drum was in tune with the next one. So you can even hear it on the record. It has a good pitch. The one thing I like about that is one thing I really like about that record is you could tell the toms apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, have you ever looked at the inside of the shell and seen the recommended note to tune it to? Did you know?
No, I think when we were skinning the heads for that set, we didn't look for any numbers. I think we were just kind of playing around because it was the night I was setting up. We were just kind of playing around and seeing what pitches we liked, and then I can't remember the exact settings, but once we found them, it was fucking. I love the way those toms came out, man.
Nice.
But it was always generally for tuning. It was always by ear. I know some people tune to notes, and I feel like that's more of like a pop, blues, jazzy type.
I thought the same thing, but Ken Schalk explained it the other day, to where, of course, like if you take a wooden shell, like a Keller or whatever it may be, you put it next to either carbon fiber or whatever kind of alloy or whatever that like maybe Trick uses. Those you can hang and hit it once and it rings a tone, right? Like it would. But the wood, I didn't even realize a lot of drums had a note value inside in the wood that told you. And when Ken tuned up Rainan's drums, he's like, this is the way to get it to sing the way the drum manufacturer or the shell manufacturer knew it could sound its best, right?
Yeah.
Like you would have a carbon fiber or alloy, aluminum, whatever it may be. Ring. You can actually.
There's a number written in it.
He had the heads up and he's looking inside at each one. He's like, all right, this one's G or 333.1, whatever the hell the tone value was. And the one he put the top heads on and then the bottom heads on, he adjusted them by, just a regular shitty tuner, no ratchet, no nothing, no dial, no pressure. And it took him a while, but watching him do it and the sound afterwards, I was like, I didn't even realize that. That was pretty awesome to watch.
I might have to. Next time I skin up my drums, I'm gonna have to check and see if there's a number. Because if there is a number, and if it's like that's their ideal pitch, then I'll most likely do that. Because
I think it was a letter on the DWs that Rainan had. I think it would say G or A or whatever right in it with the value.
I honestly had not a fucking clue about that.
See. And there it is right there. You're not the only one learning today, Mama Jan.
Yeah. You know what? To think about it, for that Enigmatum record, I do remember I was using a tuner, and that's how I tuned my drums for that record. That was one of the only times I used a tuner to tune any of my drums to a certain pitch. And I honestly, I still think that's my favorite drum sounding recording. And a lot of that is also hats off to Charlie, who, engineered the drums for that. And he did the mix for that record as well. And I love the way those drums turned out on that album.
Yeah. Could he have some more talent?
Yeah, man, he's a very busy guy.
He is a busy guy.
For good reasons. He's one of the best.
So I know you have some tours coming up, which we'll talk about at the end, but let's just say May and August. So knowing you have tours coming up in May and at least a Death Fest in August, maybe not a tour, but now is, just about April 1st. So you've got, a month. What do you do in that month to prepare for a successful tour?
Obviously I think I start practicing the set maybe about 2 or 3 weeks before heading out for rehearsals. I want to say it's like hard because I don't get into a routine until I'm on the road, but I try to like make it a routine to at least play every day when I am getting ready for a tour. I try to at least rehearse each song 3 times a day. Um, for the last like leg of shows we did a few weeks ago, I remember I had to like relearn all these songs that I tracked, in July of last year. So not playing certain songs for 8 or 9 months, it's kind of hard to remember everything that was going on. So yeah, I mainly now with that we're like doing a lot of the newer material, that sort of shit is easier for me to remember because I had a part in writing it. Um, but yeah, I just try to practice the set as much as possible, and I get really detail oriented because I don't know, when I'm playing live with Skeletal, I want fans to know that song. Like there's because the hardest part for me is playing somebody else's parts. Because up until this point, yeah, they've had a different drummer for each record, so everybody has their own little style, and that's the hardest part is to mimic this drummer, this drummer, this drummer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time trying to get like little nuances that. I mean, Carlos has nuances. Just every drummer they've had has their own different nuances, and I spend a lot of time trying to get those dialed in because it's those little things that I want the audience to recognize. You know what I mean?
That's. I don't know how these guys do it. I don't know how you do it, but that's a good point. Be it your own stuff versus being a fill-in session or for a tour fill-in. The last roundtable we had was Chasen, was Bryce, was Aaron Hetzko, and these are all guys that are masters of being the hired gun. Like they can learn a set on a fucking plane ride. Some of these guys, like John Rice, is another one. Alien.
Yeah.
He literally learned a Behemoth set on a plane ride, and he just does it over and over and over again, and it's so difficult. I don't know how to even remember all the parts, and maybe that's why Bryce was talking about he just puts the track on in his ears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's familiar enough with it where he doesn't have to remember those nuances because it's in his ear, and if it's easier for him that way, then like if anybody messes up, it's not him.
Yeah. There's that aspect of it too. Is just like playing what you're comfortable with, because I mean, obviously, like I'm not going to play the same role as this guy or this person or whatever. Like everybody plays a 6-stroke role, for example, differently. Everybody plays a paradiddle differently. Like just like the way people voice them and phrase them and whatever is like what gives them their unique abilities behind the kit. And I've always respected like people who keep the essence of the actual song what it was, because I've been to shows where it's a new drummer and I'm like, okay, here comes this fucking fill that I really love, and then no, that wasn't it because they didn't take the time to like learn the actual song how it's meant to be played.
Yeah.
It's like little stuff like that is like I've always had respect for, like people like you mentioned, because they take the time to like not only put their own spin on it, but also make it like what you're used to hearing on the record,
Sure.
Because yeah, I mean, fuck, dude, I think I had 6 weeks to learn a Vitriol set, and that's not an easy set to learn in that amount of time. Because I mean, even at that point, 6 to 8 hours isn't enough to like really dial in one of those songs. You know what I mean? Like,
Gabe Sieber was the other guy on that interview.
Yeah, that guy's dude. I think he's on tour right now with Obscura. Like
he is on tour with Obscura and Cynic.
Yeah, dude. That like another badass drummer. It's like, yeah, man, and like that's the cool thing about them is they all can deliver what you are used to hearing plus more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what else is cool about that tour that they're on right now is Mike Gilbert. the guitarist from Severed Savior, who was one of my favorites, is actually playing with Cynic on the tour.
Perfect.
It's pretty cool.
Fuck yeah.
And then today I saw Severed Savior announce they're playing Texas Domination Fest in September for the first time in years. They're going to be out doing the thing.
I didn't even know they're a band still.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they don't have Murray on bass anymore, but they announced it today.
I think Brutality as Law just turned 20 or some shit, right?
I believe you're right, yeah.
I think I saw somebody post something about that record, but that was a record throughout my not my childhood, but my teenage years. That, I mean, dude, I listened to that a lot, constantly.
They're an insane band.
Yeah, it's crazy they're playing that fest because I don't think they did anything after that. What, third record or something? I don't
think so either. And Anthony Trapani is vocalist now, and he's one of the guys that runs the Cali Death podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I didn't know they were doing anything with that band, so that's cool. Hopefully they can put out a new record because, I mean, 20 years is a long time.
I believe they're writing new material. I cannot guarantee that, but it's possible. We shall see.
Oh, man.
I have one more question about tracking that I ask everybody, because when I track, if I don't have vocals in my ears, it's a lot harder for me to get through the song. Is that strange to you, or does that ring any resonance with you?
Honestly, for me, I just memorize the riffs. I think in terms of learning a set on the fly, having vocals would help because that would be another thing to pay attention to.
Right.
Whereas for me, when I usually get a gig or session or whatever I'm doing, I always memorize the guitar riffs more so than where the vocal parts are.
Right, that's the problem for me, is because the vocal melodies and lines to me kind of help me foresee how long this guitar part is going to be instead of me remembering just the guitar part without the vocal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, but
honestly, I think everything I've done in recent years, there's never been a blueprint of vocals for pre-production stuff or anything. It's always just been scratch guitars and a click track, and that's whatever I want to do is what I want to do. So basically what I do is I listen through the whole song before I even get behind the drum kit. Whenever I get this is just my process. I upload it into my thing, get the click track adjusted, make sure it's all right, make sure the time signatures are right. But I'll listen through it and I'll make notes in my laptop on where I think changes need to be. And I'll just go through it alphabetically and here's riff A, B, C. I'll do it. I'll learn it in sections, and then by the time I get to the studio, I already kind of have a preconceived notion of how the song goes, the structure of it, because I could see where it repeats and, how many bars it does this and where the change is for that. So when I get to the studio, at that point, I just sit down and kind of fuck around with it until I come up with something that I actually like.
That makes perfect sense. So you're using letters like I use vocals.
Yeah, pretty much, because for a lot of times for pre-production, I don't even think a lot of the bands or whoever's producing the record, I don't even think at that point when I'm getting sent guitar tracks, I don't think they have any notion of where the vocals are going to be. Maybe they do, but there's nothing ever provided for me.
Sure.
So that is a really cool aspect to recording for myself personally, because the fact that I'm only getting sent the bare minimum, which is all I ask for, is guitar tracks, click tracks. When I get to hear the final product, whenever they send me a mix, it's like holy shit! It sounds like a real band, especially with the Morkera stuff, because that person's in Croatia, and the only interaction I've had is just file trading. So hearing just the bare bones of something and then hearing the full production is a really cool process, because even for the Skeletal record, there's a handful of songs that like they had like some scratch lead tracks, I guess. Nothing like set in stone though, you know, it's just like ideas. But I had no idea where the vocals were going to be. No idea how they get like the solos, the harmonies. Like I had no idea what any of it would be. All I had was just the rhythm tracks. So
it's like a nightmare to me.
When Swano sent us the first mix, it was like listening to those whole songs, because like, I mean, like I guess the song Unmerciful, like just listening to the bare bones of that song, like as a drummer, I was like, is this too long? Like, do we really need to do this riff? But you know, that's not taking the whole picture into account. Once I heard that song, like fully done with vocals, solos, harmonies, and bass, and this and that, like it was like, holy shit, like that's, you know, it's a really epic song, and it's a fan favorite, I guess, for the new record. So it's just a really cool process to like hear all that come together after, you know, a few weeks of not listening to it really. Because once I'm done with something, I don't fuck with it anymore.
Is there another song that you would like me to play? Something that
I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, it's fine for me. I do have to use the restroom though, real quick.
All right. Well, let me just go through here and take a look here. We got this is just a studio preview. It's 2:53. We got stuff from a couple years ago. I mean, Vitriol. Oh, maybe I'll play that one. That's 4:39.
Oh man, yeah. If you want to, I mean.
Is that cool with you?
Yeah, man. I mean, it'd be great to. Yeah, I just got to use the bathroom and get some more water, and it should be good.
All right, let me just put it up here. Then I will also take a quick break, and then when we get back, I just have a couple more questions, and we'll kind of wrap it up. We're at 2 hours now, and it's flown by, man. It's fun talking to you.
That's great, man.
Let me get this here queued up. So this is going to be the parting of a neck.
So this video was before I was sent a click track, which was interesting to do because I want to say it took me. This was like, I mean, this is the only take that made it on YouTube, but this was like, I think after about 4 or 5 hours playing nothing but the song, like straight.
Okay, let me ask you this because I've never done the presenting, like I mentioned, the way I'm doing it tonight. Did it look all right for you and it sound okay?
Yeah, it looked fine to me.
All right, let's just do it again then.
All right, cool. I'll be back in about 4 minutes.
All right, this is Pierce Williams playing The Parting of a Neck by Vitriol. If you haven't heard the new Vitriol record,
that's it out.
Here we go.
Suffer and Become. Wait, that's Suffer and Become. That's the one, right?
Yeah, Insanity.
Yeah.
Let's just put this up here, and we'll be back in 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Enjoy. Damn, dude.
That was without a quick track.
Well, your cymbals are a little higher up there, I noticed too, and those sticks look pretty beefy.
Yeah, I think that was so the video, it says it was uploaded 2 years ago. I think I did that in 2021. So that I must have deleted it and re-uploaded it again later or something. I don't know. Like I said, I'm always my harshest critic.
Well, we all are.
Uh,
Here's a stupid fun thing. Maybe it's not fun for you, but best tour memory and worst tour memory.
Best tour memory, man.
It could be a venue. It could be somewhere you ate. It could be a show. It could be anything.
Man, playing Hellfest was pretty up there, dude.
That's like way up in the mountains, right?
What's that?
It's way up in the mountains, right?
Yeah, dude, that was a trip. I would say that's definitely a huge highlight. Playing Costa Rica with Cannibal Corpse. Oh man, that was honestly, those two are probably my top two like tour memories, like as far as being, because like I mean it's just a trip to think about. We played a show with just us and Cannibal Corpse in Costa Rica. Like it's very humbling and very cool opportunity. I think that's I mean, fuck, we were down there for a few days before the show, so we were just like all chilling by the pool, drinking like, you know, margaritas and pina coladas, and just, you know, just doing the touristy shit. And we went out to the promoters took us out to a Brazilian steakhouse. Dude, I would say Costa Rica with Cannibal Corpse and Hellfest are my favorite tour memories. Worst tour memory. It's so funny because, you know, it's like I said, everybody always remembers the bad, you know. Let's see.
This is one of your relatives here?
Nothing that crazy. Yeah, that's my mom and my stepfather. Yeah.
Thanks. That's
love you guys. Let's see. I mean, I'm just gonna go with the honest one. Worst tour memory is the venue collapse.
Oh God! Right before like a week before I saw you last. That was Crypto was on there. No.
Yeah, that's definitely the worst memory from tour for sure.
Yeah, that without saying. Damn, that sucks. I'm glad everybody made it out of there.
Yeah, I'm glad we're all, you know, still doing it. It's unfortunate what happened, but yeah, most tours have been fucking awesome regardless, you know. I think
that tour speaks volumes for the metal community because of what happened to Crypta in their rented RV.
Dude, yeah.
They got fucked, and they were told they were responsible for the entire value of the RV, that the insurance was not going to cover it, and they put up a GoFundMe, and 3 days later, Jans raised about $140,000 to buy them a new RV. That's to pay back that one, right?
Yeah.
That is mind-blowing.
It's also like one of those things too. It's like, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the pictures, but actually being there and seeing that and seeing everything else that we saw it was definitely a very intense moment, to say the least.
Yeah, I watched the videos and I couldn't even imagine, you know, just the roof coming off, and you're thinking, this is it, man. You know, fuck.
Yeah, it was definitely, that's my honest answer to that, and I'm sure that is always going to be a question that comes up with every interview I do. So that's my honest answer. Is that incident was definitely the worst.
Hopefully that stays your worst memory forever. I said, hopefully that stays your worst memory forever.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, you know, it didn't get worse.
Yeah.
Because it could have been a lot worse. Unfortunately, someone did lose their life, but with the circumstances, it is a good thing that not as many people were injured or
absolutely could have been a lot worse.
So that's my answer for that.
All right.
But most tours have been fucking awesome, dude. The Suffocation tour we did was really cool. That was one of my favorite ones that we did. I grew up listening to Suffocation for my teenage years, and just watching them play every night. Some of my favorite songs, like despite "Shit Off the Spice of Sun," it's like
the Culross record. Thank you.
Yeah, and they kill it every night. That was one of my favorite tours.
They are all a bunch of really fun dudes. Like Charlie Arago is one of the funniest dudes I've ever met, man. And Ricky Myers, I love all of them. Hobbs and Derek, but I miss Ricky Myers behind the drum kit. I really do.
Yeah, man. I wish he would get back there and do something again.
I don't think that's going to happen. But back when he was doing the Discord shit, man, he was on Sick Drummer like in 2007. That's how I met him. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that was a cool tour. Just because I fucking love Suffocation, and just watching them play every night was really fucking cool. And then meeting and hanging out with the dudes in the Incantation was like another awesome experience. And Stabbing, another great band. Everybody in that fucking band is sick. Like that was in most recent memory, that was one of my favorite tours.
Yeah, Renee's a killer player. Well, no, he's not in the band anymore, but he was.
Sick, yeah. Nat is their new drummer, and Nat's a sick fucking drummer too.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a really good tour. Everybody just got along. There was never any issue or dramas. Like, everybody's very professional.
Yes, Dave Culross did play on Despise the Sun, and it was probably my favorite Suffo record. Because I've known Dave since we were 18, 19, and so I guess I'm a little biased, but he's my boy.
Man, I remember when I was growing up, I learned, this was before I, paid attention to who was on what records, but I remember when I, first started learning double bass, it was one of the records I played along to was the Culross record. It was Malevolent Creation Eternal?
Eternal, yes.
So, yeah, I remember when I first heard that, I was like, holy shit, this is the fastest double bass I've ever heard.
That changed everything for a lot of people.
Yeah, I remember Dave Culross is just one of the best, dude. I've never seen him play live yet.
Oh man. It's something to watch, man.
Yeah, he's a power hitter, dude. The way he flows throughout his kit is untouchable, man.
He took lessons from a long time here in Rochester, New York, with a guy who unfortunately just passed away a few weeks ago from cancer, an older gentleman by the name of William McGrath II. And he was a DCI legend, right? Talking about those sticks earlier, Charlie, mentioned. Mm-hmm. So I had a warehouse where we a bunch of bands, like whatever you call it out there, lockouts. We just call them rehearsal, jam halls, whatever. But my band had a spot right next to Culross's when he was in a band in the U.S., Disgorged, right? Not to be confused with Disgorge. And, 17, 18, 19 is when we were doing this and when I met Dave. And I would go in early to catch his band practice before mine would practice because we couldn't do it at the same time because they were just too fucking loud, right? Yeah. And then the whole thing with him moving down to Florida and doing the Incantation and doing the Hate Plow, and then he finally did got in with Malevolent. Before Suffocation even happened, he was down in Florida, and he actually lived with Reinert for a little while, and Reinert showed him how to play the entire Focus record before it came out because he was working on it at that time back in 92-ish, 91 after Death Human, before Focus came out in 93. So Dave would come back up to Rochester and come up to the jam hall, and I'd be running in there show me how to play textures off Focus. And he's like, sure, sit down. And he would just show me exactly how Sean played it. It was so goddamn valuable in my upbringing and development as a player, because Sean changed everything with those 2 records. Everything. It was just wild to be able to do that.
Really cool, man. That's like you're getting passed down knowledge from like 2 of the top guys. That's pretty fucking cool, man.
Dude, Tim Young I've known since he was 15, and Braun Daler went to my high school. So this is why Sick Drummer magazine started, and that's why those guys are on the wall behind me.
Yeah. Dude, I remember being a kid watching Sick Drummer on YouTube. all the old videos, man. Like,
hell yeah, Blood Brothers.
I remember watching the Derek Roddy videos when he was doing the I Monarch stuff. I remember watching his practice tutorial videos, and it was like him and his like
One Take Roddy
in his bedroom or something, and he's just looking at the camera. And he's like, "Just do this 200 beats a minute." You know, it's like, yeah, Sick Drummer had definitely provided me with lots of great live stuff to copy from.
Well, thank you. Well, he did text me a little while ago and apologized. He was going to try and jump on tonight, but he had a prior engagement that ended up a lot later than he thought. So Derek was going to hop on, but
right on.
He said sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he said the same thing about you, man. Hey, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool to like. I remember when I think I was in Amsterdam, and this was like a few years ago. Yeah, probably 2022. So it was recent, but yeah, I remember being in the Amsterdam airport waiting for my layover, and all of a sudden I got a notification. Derek Roddy started following you on Instagram. It's like, what the fuck?
That's funny.
It's pretty humbling to know that, you know, people who I've looked up to are like know about me and what I'm doing. That's very humbling and very cool.
Yeah, when I asked him earlier if he had time to maybe hop on just to do a quick surprise hello, he's like, "Oh yeah, hey man, I know Pierce. Pierce is a great dude, great drummer. I break for snakes. Meet."
Yeah, no, he's that video of him in the purple background. I think it has to still be up on YouTube, but that I remember abusing that video so much because I was like, how the fuck is somebody playing this fast?
You're talking about the whole Judas when he was in Mana?
No, it's like this video, it's like a 5-minute clip of him in the studio somewhere. It's just a purple background. Just him doing blast. There's no music or anything behind it. It's him jamming by himself. And I remember being like, 14, 13 years old. And I was like, dude, fuck, dude.
Yeah, this is real.
Yeah, because I mean, up until that point, until you because I've been YouTube's fairly new, but I mean, up until I was 13 or 14, like I really wasn't on the computer that much, So like when you're a 10, 12-year-old kid, like listening to this music and trying to understand how these people are doing it, and then to actually watch it on, when YouTube ever first came out, it was like, I guess it just showed you what was possible with it. And it's been a pretty cool way to see what other people have to offer the world in terms of, what they can do musically.
It's been great. It's really been great. And it's weird for me too, because I'll go, I'll be in a store sometimes or not too often. I'm not trying to sound like I'm some celebrity or whatever, but I've had people notice me and recognize me from Facebook or YouTube or whatever and be like, "Hey, are you from Sick Drummer?" Like I was at NAMM one time and some kid stopped me and he said the same thing. He's like, "Oh, are you Ian?" He's like, "Oh man, this is like bucket list. Can I get a photo?" And I used to have your magazine. I would print them out and put them up on my bedroom wall. And I was like, 16 years. And I'm like, man, I'm feeling old, but it's great to get that recognition, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember Sick Drummer not even being a magazine at first. It was just live video clips. I remember watching all the John Longstreth shit.
It was a website for 2 years before it was a magazine website. So you caught it at the beginning.
You guys had it was death grind drummers, death metal drummers, black metal drummers. You had the VIP or the Hall of Fame drummers, and
Yeah,
I remember going to that website and
Future Sickos.
Yeah. I remember going to that website specifically and then checking out each one of these because you had the links to their, if I remember correctly, you had the links to their YouTube, drum videos, and I remember just like almost clicking on every single one. And at that time, 13, 14 years old, it's like just all this wealth of like all these different drummers like being on YouTube in one spot. It's like,
yeah, when it started, there was a lot of links to people's MySpace pages.
Yeah, dude.
Their interview pages on our website. Isn't that crazy? MySpace was really pivotal and integral to the growth that Sick Drummer experienced fast in the early days.
I think it had a lot of, I mean, also with like just heavy music in general too. I remember finding out about bands through MySpace.
Oh yeah,
because everybody had you could have like your own profile song, and then if you like go to this person's profile, this song will start up. And I remember one of the things me and my friends did was like, oh, check out this band, you don't know them, like you haven't heard this band yet, listen to this band. And yeah, it was MySpace, dude. God,
yeah, a long time ago, man. It was wild. So let me ask you this question here before I wrap it up real quick. And don't think too long on it. I want to just have you kind of spurt out something. I've told you that we've had interviews based on, hired guns with those four guys that were great at that. And, we've had legends. We've had Nick Barker on with Flo Monnier and Jarvis and McGraw. And, I've got like father and son stuff lined up. Off the top of your head, who would you think would make a great roundtable interview? Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 guys that you think would be a good meshing that you'd want to hear them talk to each other about all things drums.
Oh man.
I know there's millions to pick from, but just
Derek Roddy, John Longstreth. But you've done interviews.
We've done Derek with Gus.
I'm trying to think of
Bittner and
okay. Dave Lombardo.
All right.
Gene Hoagland.
Okay.
Culross.
I've been trying. He's soon, but not ready yet.
And I'm trying to think of somebody I haven't seen on an interview with you yet. You did Tim Young a few months ago.
Yeah. My God, that was a year ago already, dude.
You've interviewed Dirk, right?
Yeah, Dirk was one of the first ones we did.
Damn, I was going to say
Longstreth was the co-host for the Dirk interview.
Yeah, I was gonna say him or Chasen, but you've also interviewed Chasen, so
Chasen on the heavy hitters one. That's good enough, man. That's good. Hoagland.
Tommy from Crowbar.
Oh, Klooftos.
Soylent Green. That Tommy, man, that guy's awesome.
Fair enough. I'll tell you one that's in the pipeline right now, which you're gonna be like, holy shit. It's almost solidified and scheduled. I just have one more guy to dial in, but Shannon Lucas, Kevin Talley, and John Merriman are all into it. We just have to pick a date, and I believe Alan Cassidy is going to be on there with us, and Dave Culross Jr. will be co-hosting it with me.
That's a pretty good. That's going to be a good night.
That's going to be a real good one,
dude. You got Kevin Talley, damn, dude.
I just talked to him 2 weeks ago with Shannon on a 3-way call talking about doing one of these, and it was an hour of just nonstop, nostalgia and laughs, and it's going to be a great interview.
Yeah, dude, that's
Kevin.
Don't miss it. Whoever's watching this, don't miss it.
Kevin didn't almost make Slayer, but he did audition with Slayer.
Dude, yeah, I remember Derek Boyer was telling me he was the guy filming that audition video.
Oh yeah,
of Kevin Talley playing for Slayer and shit. I remember watching that so much, dude. That video is insane.
We talked about it on the phone a couple weeks ago, and he's like, it was so weird because like Tom Araya is just like standing right in front of my kid, like, okay, play.
He's like, how old was he when he auditioned for that?
Dude,
it was like 99, 2000.
He was probably around 21. maybe a little younger even.
I'm pretty sure that video is still online. That's such a sick drumming video. I remember watching that one a lot, and the I think it was a Misery Index song he was tracking with drums only, backing track or anything. It was just the studio take too, not like the
right.
Not the audio from the recording or whatever. It was like the studio, like raw studio audio. And I remember, yeah, Kevin Talley's a fucking beast, dude.
Oh, he's still a beast, and he's got a recording set up in his home. He lives in Texas, and he's still tracking for people. And Shannon is actually setting his up now to do tracks for people.
Yeah,
Culross is still playing. John Merriman's not playing, but
Merriman was the drummer for Cephalic, right? I was gonna say that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, me either. That's why I called him. I'm like, it'd be great to have on with those guys.
You said he's not doing anything musically.
As far as I know, I haven't talked to him in a little while, but the idea for Sick Drummer going from the website to the magazine was actually born in John Merriman's kitchen in Colorado 16 years ago. I mean,
yeah, I remember just seeing his name on the Hall of Famers or whatever.
He's a disgusting player. Cool. Well, thank you for that. So you've got some stuff coming up here. You've got the Decayed Decades tour in May with Exhumed and Morbicon, which is Dave Woody's, aside from Municipal Waste thing right now and all the other bands he's ever been in. We just filmed Morbicon a month and a half ago out in Midwest, and it was pretty wild to watch. And
that's an awesome drummer.
He's an amazing drummer. Dude, go back to the Human Remains stuff and, Jersey back in the day when lethargy was a thing, Anyway, sorry. Lethargy was like before Sulaco, Rochester band. Then you've got Death Metal Mayhem in May also with Incantation and Exhumed. That's like a one-off festival. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So you're touring with Exhumed and Morbicon, and then does the tour end and then you do the Metal Mayhem festival, or is it like during?
Is that in May?
I believe so. Yeah.
So if it's in May, yeah, because we're also doing Milwaukee Metal Fest, and that's a part of the Exhumed tour because it's not like the tour, but it's a stop, I guess, in the tour. So if it's in May, it's probably most likely, maybe Exhumed will play too. I don't quote me on that because I don't know 100%, but
no, they're on the poster.
They're on it, yeah. So it's probably going to be one of those things where it's not a part of the tour, but it is at the same time. You know what I mean?
That'll be cool playing with Incantation and Exhumed there.
Yeah, those guys are fucking awesome.
And that's why. Then Helsinki Death Fest is in August. Sorry.
Yeah, so we have a tour in Europe. I don't think it's necessarily a tour. It's more so just festivals.
Yeah.
So we're gonna. I think the plan, because there's confirmations for Wacken and Helsinki and Dortmund Death, but there's a bunch of dates surrounding festivals. So I think the plan is to do all the festivals, but maybe have a short circuit getting from city to city,
Sure.
But I think most of those dates are just festivals only. I think it's maybe 2 or 3 weeks in Europe.
Will that be your first time at Wacken or?
Yeah, man. That's another bucket list.
Absolutely, dude.
Having the experience and playing like something as big as Hellfest is definitely like a good, I guess, par of judgment to like.
Yeah.
To expect we're playing something of that magnitude.
I've heard the crowds at Wacken dwarf Hellfest, but that's probably inaccurate because Hellfest is more of a variety of a roster, where Wacken is typically more just extreme metal.
Extreme metal. Dude, the Hellfest we went that year was really fucking cool, man. There was so many good bands that I think we were only there for 2 days, but man, it was so cool to just like watch all those bands on just like from the balcony of wherever the the buffet was or whatever. It's just like, yeah, I think having the experience from Hellfest is definitely like a good preparation in order to know what to expect from something like Wacken, because up until Hellfest, I had no idea like what to expect for playing such a big 1,000 people attending type show, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess the next bucket list will be like Doddington Park and in the UK, and you could get that one on your list.
Yeah, man.
Download Festival.
I think Wacken and Hellfest are just like definitely two of the biggest ones that anybody could play, and I'm super stoked for that.
It's awesome. So that's it. I mean, is there anything else that I haven't mentioned that you got coming up that you want to talk about, or?
Yeah, I mean, we got some dates in Australia and Asia, I think, right after Europe. So it's, I think, at the very tail end of August, maybe early September. I'm very excited for Asia. I've never been. I think I was just sent the dates and cities a few days ago. It's only 5 cities, but like I was very excited to read what they were. I'm not going to announce what they are yet because
fine.
That'll happen in due time. But yeah, those, really looking forward to going back to Australia. Australia was a lot of fun. We did that in 2022, and we're going back out there after Asia. So,
well, after this interview is over here, I'll add links to all of your socials and all that. So if people need to know where, I won't make you sit here and list off all that stuff now. It's silly. I'll just put it in the description here, and I'll put some links to your upcoming tour dates and all that kind of thing, and people can just follow you there. But again, dude, thanks for taking the time out to do this with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me, dude. It's good to talk to you again, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Hopefully it won't be that long until the next time, but until then, safe travels while I'm stuck in Rochester. You enjoy the world.
I'll hit you up when we're in New York, see if you want to come out to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in South Carolina, this guy Steven wants to come see you as well. So yeah, I'll keep everybody posted on the next interview. Hopefully that'll be sooner than later. I'll keep everybody posted on the prizes we're going to have available that we're going to give away on our Twitch streams. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for everybody who commented, shared, watched. It's been pretty wild. We've had a lot of good numbers here tonight, a lot of good questions. We appreciate it. Safe travels to you and safe travels to the band. Keep in touch. And on that note, I will end this stream. Do you want to say anything else before I hit end stream, or are you good?
If anybody needs session drums or you want your demo or EP mixed, I'm available.
There you go. And I'll put just send me what you want me to add to the description, and I'll throw it in there for you.
Right on.
Whether it's an email or a studio page or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. This is how I've ended every single stream. Don't take off, but we're gonna go offline here, and I'm just gonna hit end stream.
Cool.
Thank you.
Later, guys.